Hey, it's another week in wrestling and stuff. I don't know. How you been?
Doing all right. We're on episode 17 of the season. I don't know if we even hit 17 in the season one that was what 2.5 years long.
Yeah. We hit 19 episodes, so we're actually very close to hitting what we did in 2.5 years in 2.5 months, something like that.
Yeah, the
But
new format has made this a lot easier. Um, I know it's made it easier on you.
and that brings us to our first ad. Zencaster makes podcasting easy. But seriously though, there was wrestling this week. It's really weird going to a week after Blood and Guts and good shows, but like after a pay-per-view level event, it's just kind of like, oh, all right, we're back to normal wrestling here. But apparently we have Wrestlemania Backlash on Sunday.
That we do. That we do. So we'll I guess we can speed through the quick recaps of the week that has been so far. Um, we I'm back from Jacksonville, obviously. Um, SmackDown was SmackDown. It was fine. Lots of great stuff on the Roman Reigns front. He is being challenged by Cesaro, which I'm always up for. Um,
Nice.
Moving on to Raw, not a whole lot of note per usual. Braun Strowman ended the show looking strong, which means he will undoubtedly go through the announce desk and not factor into the end of the Backlash match. RK Bro is now 3-0, even though this week it was an 8-man tag match where they were paired with the New Day. And after the match, Randy Orton RKO'd both members of the New Day. So at least if they're going to be a team, they're going to have to go through an actual team to get there. So that's I kind of like the way they've worked that out. For something on Raw, it actually it's surprising to like the way that they've kind of booked this thing for a few weeks.
Yeah.
Let's see. Well, that was pretty much Raw. The usual.
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair's getting John Cena booking now, which is a little strange, but it works for me. I'm just kind of glad she gets to be an asshole heel again. When they try to make her face just for the sake of bringing Rick out, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
She works so much better from the super cocky heel side and cuts significantly better promos that way. You wanna run through AEW?
Yeah. AEW, we had I'll just get it out of the way. It appears so Pac and Orange Cassidy had their match for the number one contender at Double or Nothing to face Omega, and kind of early-ish on in the match. Um, Orange, he took a power bomb. At first, he took a kick to the face, and then he took a power bomb where it looked like he just took all of it on his neck, and he was pretty much out.
Yeah,
And
it looked more like a pile driver than a power bomb.
Yeah, and Pac, like, I think when he's been in the ring when people have been injured and stuff, he doesn't know what to do. Like, you could see in the commercial break in the picture of him, like him going between like him doing his pot crowd stuff to like I feel like he looked concerned. I don't think he's really good at hiding that when that happens. And so they did a WWE finish, something that AEW basically said that they weren't going to do. They thought they were cheap and stuff like that. But it's kind of saved their ass because it sounded like they were looking to do a time limit draw anyway. And then Omega was going to use the same reasons, like, oh, I don't have a champion because there wasn't a decisive winner here, or I don't have a challenger. So they just, did the WWE, like, Omega interfered to like cause a DQ, or no, there was a 10 count So same result essentially to get to the thing. But I do think they did a good job of thinking on their feet. But it's still weird, and it appears like he's Orange is promoting the match, so it appears like he's all right. But I mean, Ricky Starks appeared to be all right, and then tweeted out he had a broken neck a few days later as well. So fingers crossed that we don't have two broken neck guys on the AEW roster. But man, I'm just gonna say that Miro Darby Allin match was nuts, and I don't think I've ever seen a tope suicida with such velocity. Is when when Darby just like lawn darted himself out of that ring, and he just bounced like off of Miro, like I don't know, a good 6 feet, and it was that. I don't understand how this guy, and maybe he won't be, but I don't see how he would be wrestling in 5 years the way he put himself. Like Jeff Hardy goes pretty hard, and Darby like seems like he's trying to one up him all the time. And
I can see that.
Yeah, his matches are great, and for someone his size, taking on bigger guys, like I think is what you have to do. Like you have to wrestle with such intensity. But like I do worry about his longevity. Like in the end, the guy seems like he has rubber bones. I don't understand.
Yeah, the when Brian Cage shoved him in that body bag and was throwing the body bag around, I thought he was dead. You can't see the bumps coming, so you can't take them. So I don't know how he does it. It's nuts.
There was a short-lived independent wrestling kind of like documentary series on Vice, and they had some episode of him on Evolve, and he did a spot like that in the body bag, and he straight up broke his arm like doing that. So it's happened before. His remote bones may be made out of rubber, but he still does break them occasionally. But what else did we have? We had the I thought a very good match between Blue Justice and Mox, and we have Mox coming out to Wild Thing. I don't know if that's a one-time thing, but if it's not, I like it. I think it works great. And then we set up Mox and Kingston for Double or Nothing, which will be great. And we'll talk about that in the future week to come. And an excellent tag match with SCU and the Young Bucks. I read Cage Side Seats coverage, and I will agree with them that they really did not give them the final, like, they could have done the story better. Like having all their matches, their wins and stuff like that, building up on AEW Dark and Dark Elevation. Like not many people are watching that. And I don't know. I think they could have done a better job of weaving this story in and making this more important than it actually was. But it was a great match.
Yeah, I mean, but you and I kind of talked about that last night while we were watching AEW, that it's become a recurring thing here lately where things just change at the drop of a hat based on Dark. And I mean, nobody's watching Dark. I don't. No. Nobody has enough time in the week to seek out more wrestling on YouTube, especially if you've got to watch damn Impact now because Omega's going to be on there every week. I mean, it's everything has just it's felt haphazard.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, Mox and Kingston versus the Young Bucks sounds amazing, but for a month now, it has seemed like we were on the road to Kingston Omega. That disappeared. Hangman and Brian Cage have a match when they're ranked 1 and 2. Cage gets the win, should have become number 1, and then suddenly 1 and 2 or it's Bach and Orange Cassidy. It's been a little strange, and considering how much story they could have milked SCU versus the Bucks for, the fact that the build was literally just Christopher Daniels came out like a week ago and said something about how they weren't the friends he remembered or something
Yeah.
along those lines. Like that's not the build to a match for guys that rode together for years.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they should have spent 2 or 3 weeks getting that match to Double or Nothing, especially if it's the end of SCU. If Christopher Daniels is going to retire at this point, I mean he's up there in years.
Yeah.
And given the amount of blood loss during that match, I could see that being a curtain call for him. I'd like for that to have been kind of built up a little bit more. So yeah, it's all felt incredibly weird here lately, and I don't, for a company that spent their whole first year doing such a great job with like long form storytelling and using all the little, you know, the BTE and dark and things like that. They were moving little pieces here and there, but their long form stuff stayed really, really consistent. I think it makes it seem a lot more disjointed, um,
Yeah.
since they had it so together for so long.
And I think something they can do is just like, hey, just put some highlights. No, don't just put a crawl on the bottom like these people won their dark matches. If there's something that's going to be important for a story, show us some highlight packages on dark. Like, oh, this happened on dark. Like this, like if they've shown for the last several weeks, SCU like some highlights of them like putting other tag teams away, it would help. It's still not
Yeah.
perfect, but it would definitely help. And I think they need to bring some of that stuff in, just for if you're just tuning in, like don't just tell us it's important, show us. So
Yeah, because if it's going to be how the ranking system works in the company and dark counts, you can't just drop it at the bottom like the Blue Jays 8, Braves 4. Like that does
yeah,
nothing for anybody. Like
yeah,
at least the Sports Center ticker, it constantly cycles back through in case you miss it. I can't watch SCU and the Young Bucks while I'm trying to keep up with the record on dark at the bottom of the screen. It's too much. Or I mean, do more with your Instagram. I mean, should put clip packages on an Instagram feed so that in 2 minutes time I can see everything that I need to know from dark,
yeah.
and I'm not having to follow a ticker. Um, but I honestly, even if they were showing me like Orange Cassidy won 117 straight matches on dark, like was at the, like Goldberg level, it still doesn't help that you didn't see any of that, and Hangman and Brian Cage being 1-2 was such a talked about point on commentary throughout their match. Like if you're gonna get to the Orange Cassidy thing, you need to know that in advance enough where them being ranked 1 and 2 can just be like, oh, you mention it once. It's not like a sticking
Right.
point throughout the damn thing. And then Taz cuts a 5-minute promo on it later in the show.
I mean,
So
good. I think good matches throughout. Yeah, I think they just need to figure out a way to bring that back and bring that that togetherness. Like the Double or Nothing itself is looking to be pretty good show overall. We got the Stadium Stampede coming back, which, you know, if you're actually going to Double or Nothing, you don't actually see it. And you have Miro versus Lance Archer, which I think to me sounds like could be the best match of the whole card, really. But yeah, a little bit more consistency there. But what about at
yeah.
NXT? What do we got there?
One more note on
Oh,
AEW, and not so that it all sounds negative from me. No more squash matches for Thunder Rosa. She's far too good to need to do that. Like,
yeah.
just put her in legit matches each week. None of this like give her 30 seconds of screen time in a squash, because that's not. She's
I mean,
so much better than that.
after that Britt Baker match, like, do we need, like, if anything, if you're like, oh, did people forget about Thunder Rosa? Just show some clips from her beating up Britt Baker. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, yeah. NXT. I desperately want Austin Theory to get a push. Watching Austin Theory versus Karrion Kross, like just looking at Austin Theory's face, you hate that guy. There's something about him that is so easy to hate. He's got the look, the physique, like he could, and he carries promos well. I think he could be one of their title holders and uh, you just want to hate that guy. His face is a heat magnet. Um, but inevitably you got to make the champ look strong. So he squashed Austin Theory. Johnny Gargano will defend next week against Bronson Reed. I don't know if it's to get that belt off Gargano so that he can go after Cross once Balor gets his rematch. I'm not sure when the Balor match is. I would assume they're saving that for In Your House. Cross did get a pretty good pop from the live crowd, which was good to see after all the negative stuff online after he won the belt.
Yeah.
What else?
What about that women's match? Do you already? Yeah.
Women's. Oh yes, the boss fight. Raquel Gonzalez versus Mercedes Martinez was awesome. And if you had any questions just from the Io Shirai match about whether or not Raquel should be the women's champion, this one puts her over the top. I can't wait to see what kind of matchups they line up for her next, because she's a beast and I love it. And the two of them, like they beat the hell out of each other. It was a great one. Kushida and Santos Escobar, 2 out of 3 falls for the cruiserweight belt. First fall, it got a decent amount of time, and then the second 2 falls felt a little rushed. I don't know if the show ran long or what the deal was there, but yeah, the third fall just kind of came right on top of the second one. So it was a little disappointing, but Kushida did retain. On the crowd reaction side, Kushida's not getting a whole lot of love. Santos Escobar was getting tons for the guy that's clearly supposed to be the heel. Was getting cheered like crazy. I mean, they were just chanting Escobar throughout the match. It was a little strange. I mean, he's great, so I get it, but a little weird to see Kushida kind of in that same boat as MSK, where that the talent's there, you just don't really understand the crowd reaction.
Yeah.
But yep, that was. There were some other match. I thumbed through a recap to see what Hulu cut out. Breezango, non-title against MSK, got cut out of the Hulu edit. MSK, it seemed like it was a squash. Isaiah Swerve Scott got like 10 minutes of screen time to cut a promo for his new faction, which may be
Hit
why
Row Records or something like that.
The hit something. Yeah, the row, hit row. I'm not sure.
I think it's like Hit Row Records to give you to remind you of Death Row Records from the 90s.
Yeah, I can see it. Looking at this picture of the 4 of them, I don't know.
Yeah.
It got way too much screen time just to say, oh, we're a faction now. There's much easier ways to get across that a group is a faction. So I don't know where that's going, but the Bronson Reed Johnny Gargano match is a steel cage match next Tuesday, so that'll be fun. But yeah, that was pretty much NXT. Not a bad. Oh, that was not NXT. I forgot the best part. Cameron Grimes and Ted DiBiase in a bidding war for a lake house at an auction. That they can do these forever. It never has to go anywhere. Just keep this running forever. I'm good with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great. So I guess that brings us to Backlash predictions. Are we going to do this?
Yeah, we can run through it. I swear I saw the other day that there were like 10 matches on this card, but there are only 6 on the list that came up when I Googled it right before we got started here. So we will
I think
just
they threatened 10 as a form of torture, but then they decided not to do that.
well, they still managed to shove Dominic Mysterio on the card, so the card's already too long for me. Damian Priest will take on The Miz in a lumberjack match, which fortunately means we will get Johnny Drip Drip at ringside. Um, I'm not real sure. Damian Priest did an interview not too long ago where he said that basically he was told by higher ups in the company that if the Bad Bunny angle failed, that he was pretty much just done. He would be craft
Wow.
services until his contract ran out. So thank God for him that
Yeah.
they got paired up with the Miz and Morrison, and that Bad Bunny was really committed. But I think that with the lumberjack thing, nobody likes Miz, so it's going to come into play, and they're going to help Damian Priest get the win there.
That seems pretty obvious to me.
Yeah, the Dirty Dogs, Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode, will take on Rey and Dominic Mysterio. I think it's pretty obvious at this point that the Mysterios will take these belts. I can't remember who it was, but somebody, it was in the rumors the other day, somebody's in line to be a heel contrast for the tag belts. It may have been maybe Mason T-Bar. I can't remember. But so they're going to need face champs, and they're gonna overplay the father-son tag champion crap, which I still Dominic, it's there. It's in his blood. You can tell he's trying. He really needed a little more development before he got thrust into all of this. But yeah, I don't see any way that the Mysterios do not walk away with that belt.
I see that, I haven't been watching WWE too much, but I do see that Ray got his eye back. Did he get a little eye transplant going on? Or they thought we just forget.
They clearly think we're just stupid because I mean he had his eye back like, I don't know, 2 months later. He was off TV for like 3 weeks and came back like nothing had happened. So that's one of those. Yeah, they realized that was garbage, and if they left the eye patch on, people that hadn't watched in a little while were like, well, what's the deal there? And look it up and have to watch that dog shit match. So they probably just wanted to scrub it. Next up, we will have Bianca Belair defending against the longest reigning SmackDown Women's Champion of all time, Bayley.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of taking that belt back off Bianca at this point it would be a little premature.
And weren't you watching a match a couple weeks ago and said that chemistry just wasn't there?
Yeah, not in the slightest. I'm not terribly thrilled about this one. I'm not real sure what it was, but it was a mixed tag 6-person match where Bianca was with the Street Profits. I think Bayley was with the Dirty Dogs, and just every part of that match just did not seem like anybody was clicking. So hell, maybe that's why it's not the Street Profits versus the Dirty Dogs here, just because they don't get the crowd as amped as they need to. But yeah, Bianca's gonna, barring Becky Lynch showing back up and creating a ruckus, I don't see Bianca not walking out of there with that one. Other women's match, Rhea Ripley will defend in a WWE special. So we've got a triple threat match. We got 2 of these sumbitches on this card. She will defend against Asuka and Lady John Cena, Charlotte Flair, for the Raw Women's Championship. I indifferent.
Batista had a fun tweet about this, and he was like, "How the hell do you job out Asuka when it was announced that Charlotte's being added to the card?" So it seems obvious that to him anyway that Asuka's eating that pin.
I'd really, as long as it's a decent match, I'm indifferent on how it ends.
Yeah.
Asuka with the belt's great. I think Charlotte's character plays so much better. Although they've been running this angle where she's sort of like in cahoots with Sonya Deville, so booking has been going in her favor for like weeks now. So maybe it plays better if she doesn't have the belt. Have Asuka cost her the title or something, so that they can keep playing up whatever the big DeVille energy story is that they've got going there. But yeah, I'm indifferent. I would assume that Rhea Ripley retains, but who knows? The other triple threat match, we have the almighty WWE champion taking on Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman.
Oh yes, another WWE special.
I'm gonna go against my baser instincts, and I'm gonna say Bobby Lashley retains yet again.
Yeah, I think that's just how it goes. Man, poor luck to Drew McIntyre becoming champion at the beginning of the pandemic, and that's just he's not getting it back.
I think there's a part of me that thinks that Drew will get the belt back, but it's going to be at Allegiant Stadium for SummerSlam when there aren't numbers restrictions. They can pack the house out. And then when he's got the belt, he gets to go into the following, so many weeks of Raw in packed houses and get pops in each of them, as opposed to just the one-off that WrestleMania would have been. But yeah, I think at this point,
you really think Raw's going to pack houses when it goes back on the road?
Hey, even when it's shit, the building's still mostly full. Yeah. We can even if you pipe in all the cheers, we can still see the way that the Thunderdome reacts to things. Yeah. At least if you wait until there's people in the audience, like where more often than not, the live crowd is going to cheer when they're supposed to. People at home on the Thunderdome screens tend to be trolls.
Yeah.
But we do have one match on this card that may be worth watching the whole show just to get to, and that is the head of the table, our acknowledged Universal Champion, Roman Reigns, taking on Cesaro. This match is going to be awesome. Oh, that's who it was. I think the Mysterios take those tag belts because the Usos are going to get a title run. That's what it was. And they're going to do it as heels. But Roman Reigns versus Cesaro will be amazing. Hopefully it gets 30, 45 minutes of screen time because they can both do it. The Usos are going to keep Cesaro from having a chance in hell. Even if he looks like a superstar the whole time, that belt is not leaving Roman's waist. Hell, he may break Bruno Sammartino's title reign numbers by the time this is all said and done, because it'll be 2032 before The Rock can take this belt off him.
Yeah.
And hell, he may need a walker to get to the ring by the time he's got enough time to actually do this. But yeah, this match alone is the only real reason to turn on Backlash.
On Young Rock, man, that's 2032. He looks great. He looks great in 2032. So I think it'll be no problem.
He inexplicably hasn't aged in a decade. So it's Terramana. It's the fountain of youth. He's just put it in a tequila bottle.
Also, Randall Park hasn't aged either, like for 2032. So it's all working out for everybody. Apparently, we're about to find in like 2026 some kind of like anti-aging serum that actually works or something. That's what's going to happen.
It's what's going to save Avon. And that brings us to our second sponsor for the podcast this evening, Avon. Call your Avon lady.
Have you tried Skin So Soft? That's the only thing I remember from Avon.
Man, that crap actually worked too. I think it was like 97% DEET, so of course it kept mosquitoes at bay.
Yeah.
It ate your skin off, but while it stayed, it was just so soft. So yeah, that will be WrestleMania Backlash. I don't think we're going to get any real surprises this week, as it's not one of the big four. If we are going to get anything like a Becky Lynch return, I would imagine it's going to be Money in the Bank, which should be about a month from Sunday, I would imagine. Yeah. But yeah, that will be my Sunday evening. Sitting through 2.5 hours of just middling garbage to get to the meat and potatoes here. I'm assuming that this will close the show out, because that is definitely the only story that they're telling lately that's been worth watching. But hey,
who knows?
I've been surprised.
It's going to open the show.
I have grown into a bit of a Bobby Lashley mark, so who knows? I mean, I could be I'm constantly surprised, but he's just been so damn good. There's one thing that needs to be on this card is a Sheamus title defense, because everything that I think positively about Bobby Lashley at this point is mostly based on those couple of matches with Sheamus. Put his ass on the pay-per-view and cut him a check.
Man. Well, this pay-per-view is presented by Army of the Dead. So I'm actually really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be great. Big Dave is doing some good things. And it's got my favorite comedian Tig Notaro in there as well. Like, inexplicably, but she looks great as a helicopter pilot. So, yeah.
I hope it sets records for Netflix viewership, so that Warner Brothers just has to keep kicking their own ass just for years and years to come over this whole Snyderverse fiasco.
Yeah.
So hopefully, what's the release date on Army of the Dead?
It's a week from Friday, so I think that's the 21st, I believe.
Yeah, sounds right.
Something like that.
It's the night after JR's Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
Which is May 20th. Sunday, May 20th, live at Daly's Place. JR will be the only person in the building.
Well, that'll be great. And then you can just get Morrow in on May 30th instead for Double or Nothing. He can just take JR's space.
He's going to show up and do commentary. He's accidentally going to be at like a Brooks and Dunn concert or something.
Oh, man. Oh, old man JR. All right. Well, until next week, we'll watch more wrestling. We'll be back with our backlash to this episode, basically.
Like, review, subscribe, tell your friends. You never know when I'm going to give crap away.
Yeah.